I'm a little beer. Leaning. I don't know. Go Gators, right? Those of you that always attend the class, you know I say go Gators. Um, this is going to be a very hands-on discussion. So you have the opportunity to ask all your questions, kind of just jump in. This is not necessarily structured with the PowerPoint. We do have our handout. Minnie's going to go ahead and drop that in the chat. And the handout is going to walk you through how to sign up. It's a long way to the top of the program. I know, right? um, if you want to, it'll show you how to sign up for the calculator, and it'll also show you how to use the calculator. So we'll go ahead and drop that in the chat. There you go, in the chat. So you guys go ahead and start. Um, Jerry's so funny. If y'all want to start grabbing your handout, all right? And at the same time, I'm going to share screen. Now, while I'm doing that, we do have some new faces in the chat. My name is Ray Cole Jackson. For those of you, this is your first time joining us. If this is your first time joining us on a Thursday, drop a one in the chat, just so I can know who's in the room. This your first time, Dominica? This is not your first time. Ashley, maybe. Tashka, I've never seen your name before. Karina, you're right. I don't think I've ever seen your name before. We're here every Thursday. Maria, your first time? Yes, I agree. Karen, okay. All right. Lucy, your first time? All right. So I have to give you guys a formal introduction. Laura Lee. Laura Lee. Did I pronounce that correctly? Laura Lee. Laura Lay, maybe? E-I? It's your first time? So I have to give a formal introduction. Many of the other attendees, Alessandra, your first time? All right. So for those of you, if this is your first time, my name is Ray Cole Jackson. I'm the second time. Thank you. For those of you who this is your first time joining us, my name is Ray Cole Jackson. I'm a South Florida real estate attorney. I am the founder of Title Experts, which is one of our sponsors for today's training. I am the founder of Purchase Ready Academy, which is the community that joins. We meet every Thursday here at 12 o'clock live to discuss um, some system primarily or substantive information related to your real estate business. A little bit about me. I am originally from South Florida. I'm a realtor. I mentioned I'm a real estate attorney. I'm a loan officer, title agent, and what else? That's it, right? That's it, right? All in one. So I'm originally from Florida. I got my LLM. I went to University of Florida, hence go Gators. Got my law degree from Santa Clara in California, came back home to Miami, got my LLM in real property development. Proud licensed Florida realtor and licensed loan officer. So all things real estate is what we talk about here on Thursdays. All right. All right. So with that being said, for those of you that are coming in, hey, Juliana. For those of you that are just coming in, check the chat. The handout is in the chat, and I'm going to share it on screen. Today's discussion topic is using the closing cost calculator, how to calculate seller net sheets, and other closing cost calculators. All right. So I'm going to pull that up on screen now. 1 second. Oh, I'm going to do this first. I need 3 screens today with what I'm doing. All right, Minnie, you got to watch the door because I definitely cannot let folks in today. All right. All right. So, you guys should have the seller net sheet handout available. Let me do a quick share screen. So we're going to make sure we're looking at the same thing. All right. Seller net sheet. This is your instructions on how to fix this view to one page. Single page. This is your instructions on how to access the closing cost calculator. We're gonna do this together today. How to access the closing cost calculator, and then how to prepare seller net sheets. All right. So I'm gonna do a stop share really quickly, and then we're gonna go directly to the site so you guys can see it for yourself how to use a closing cost calculator. Now, this discussion, for those of you who were with us last week, this builds on last week's discussion, okay? Because last week we went over the closing costs in the contract, right? We went over what each line item represented in paragraph 9. We went over who pays for what, right? With paragraph 9C1, 9C2, and 9C3. We went over how those closing costs are calculated. So now when you use this closing cost calculator, you'll be familiar with what you're looking at. The materials, if you look up in the chat, there's a link, Alessandra, to a handout. So if you click that link, put in your information, the handout will either pop up or it'll be emailed to you. All right. All right. So I'm going to do a quick share screen again. Eva, make sure you look up in the chat. There's a link in there that has a link, a hyperlink to where you can put in your information, and the handout will come to you. All right. All right. So this is our home screen. We're gonna start here. This is the home screen for title experts, and the link that you're going to use to find the calculator is expert estimates. So you just click here, expert estimates, and it's going to open another window. Now, if you're not already signed up, which some of you are, some of you are not, then you're going to, let me log out so you can see. Then you're going to see this screen here. Now you're going to create it. You're going to sign up and create an account, right? And when you sign up and create an account, then you're just going to use your email address and your password for to log in each time. All right. So I'm going to log back in now. I was logged in earlier. I had a test file up for you guys. And you're grabbing it right. Many I see you grabbing a lot of people in the waiting. Oh, 1, 2, 3. All right. So you're going to do for seller net sheet. Let's talk, guys. What are we talking about first? Let's talk about seller net sheets. One thing, again, I always tell you guys is you want to use tools. You want to use tools. Now, there are so many tools and resources that are available to you all now, to us in our real estate business. Now, the seller net sheet, you can use this for a number of things. First of all, of course, when you're in a listing appointment, you can use it for marketing, right? Use it for marketing. If you identify a property and you want to just do a quick, hey, if you're interested in selling, this is about probably how much you can net. Do you want to talk about it, right? So you can use it for marketing. Now, of course, when you are at a listing appointment and you're trying to come up with price, now you don't want to get into a situation where your sellers, this is a whole listing presentation, discussion, training, coaching. We can't price our properties solely based upon what the seller would like to net. That does not work, right? The property's worth what the property is worth. Now, with that being said, we can give the sellers an estimate of what they will net based upon how we list the property. Maybe they're looking at, you know, maybe the numbers are a little bit tight and they're trying to figure out just how much you're looking like a professional. You're meeting with your client. You guys can do this on Zoom. Do a share screen, just like me, right? And so I'm going to use, for example, I pulled this property up already. I'm going to use our office address just because I've already pulled it up. And I'm going to say that I'm meeting with um, the owner of this building. Go ahead and drop again in the chat for Sunita, Minnie, the link to the handout. Sunita, you're going to see the instructions on how to access this calculator. Let's say that we are looking at a sales price of 15 million. Right, 15 million. Some of you are probably like, what? It sold for 13 million. I know that because I've already pulled the taxes up on the property, right? So let's say 15 million. Let's say our estimated closing date is September 27. Now, we talked about this last week. Who pays for title insurance? This is referring to paragraph what? Which paragraph? Drop it in the chat. Who was in training last week? Which paragraph is this referring to? You may not have it committed to memory, but which paragraph? Someone might. There you go, Lori. Lori said 9C. Exactly. Now, for those of you like, what is she talking about? Why did she say that? How does she know that? Last week in training, we went over closing costs specifically. And we know that paragraph 9 is where the contract lists out some of the standard closing costs, and it lays out who's responsible for each cost. We have seller and we have buyer. And then there's notations beside 3 of those costs related to title insurance that who pays those costs, it depending upon which paragraph 9C1, 9C2, or 9C3 is selected. So that's why Lori put 9C in the chat, right? So this property is located in Palm Beach. So we know that customarily, and in your handout, we have this information, customarily, the seller selects the closing agent, right? And they pay for the closing costs. So we're going to select seller only. This closing cost calculator is set up for those 3 closing costs to fall on the appropriate side of the buyer or seller based upon which drop down you select. So we have buyer, seller, and then Miami-Dade, Broward. You don't want to do 50-50 because it's going to take all those costs and literally split it down 50-50. You don't want that. So you want to do buyer only, right? 9C1, 9C2, 9C3, Miami-Dade, Broward provision. All right. So this one we're going to say seller only because we're going with what's customary in Palm Beach County, and that's seller select. Do we want to manually adjust any title fees on this one at the moment? No, generally no. Loan payoffs, right? So we're meeting with our seller, and we already know this seller already knows that they have a mortgage on the property of $13 million. So we're going to go ahead and put in $13 million that we know that they have to pay off, right? Do they have a second loan payoff? Let's say they have a little small HELOC or something. Let's say that we don't want to make it too close. Well, let's do it. Let's say they have a small line of credit for $250. Let's put $250 in here. The numbers are what the numbers are. Real estate commission. All right. Any amounts entered below are going to be paid by the seller and reflected on the seller net sheet. Seller's agent compensation. What are we doing? Let's show percentage. Let's say we're doing 3%, right? Buyer's agent compensation. Let's say our seller has already agreed to offer 3% to the buyer's agent. Transaction fee. Alexandra's question said, where can we find out whether the seller has a mortgage on the property? You ask the seller. You ask the seller. And the reason why you ask the seller is because just because, for example, you see, you guys are not going to go and look in the public records to see what's recorded against the property. I don't suggest that you go through all of that. Now you're getting into title world. Now, if you want to be sophisticated and try and do that, then you can, but you won't know the balance, right? So just because there may be a mortgage recorded against the property, you don't know the balance. So you're going to ask the seller. Now, transaction fee. Let's say your transaction fee is $495. You're going to enter that transaction fee there, $495. Oh, let's go back. So $495. Seller concessions. Have we agreed? You're welcome. Very good question. If we have agreed, or maybe we're trying to see whether or not we're at the listing appointment, we're trying to see whether or not we can offer a seller concession, right? Can we put some money out there to provoke, right, or encourage an offer? So let's just say maybe we say we can either do a percentage or a flat fee, or flat number rather. I'd say flat fee. Let's say we do a flat, let's say a percentage. Let's just see. Let's just see. Again, these numbers are going to be wild. I already know. Just because of, we know that it's because of the taxes. I know these numbers are going to be wild, but we're just going to put them in and see. Let's say this was, this is an office building. I'm going to treat it like it was real, like it was a residential property. HOA dues, monthly amount, let's say 500. Did seller pay the current dues? We're going to say yes. The reason why we're saying yes, because we talked about prorations last week. This calculator is going to give you a proration, right? Resale certificate transfer fee. Now, we talked about that last week. Remember, on our contract, the transfer fee is a charge to the buyer. So we're not going to put that here. Resale certificate, that's generally a charge to the buyer, right? But if you knew that it was the charge to the seller, then you would place that there. Property taxes. We talked about property taxes last week. Now, I've already pulled the property taxes for this property so you guys can see it. Are you guys seeing the property taxes? Did it change over? Do you see property tax, or you still see the calendar? I'm sorry, the calculator. Perfect. Thanks, Lori. All right. So remember last week we talked about ad valorem, value taxes. Thanks, Karen. And we talked about non-ad valorem. Now, for the purposes of our closing cost calculator, it does not split those out. Last week we talked about ad valorem being charged. The fiscal year for ad valorem taxes is January 1st to December 31st. And we talked about that they were charged in arrears, meaning those taxes are not paid until the end of the year. So at closing, the seller is going to be crediting the buyer for the number of days that they own the property, right? And remember, we talked about non-ad valorem are not, they're not value taxes, but they're taxes. And this is a good example because we talked about those being taxes to the property for resources and services to the property. So you see, these are listed out. We have some North Palm Beach County Improvement District 15 maintenance fee. We have a flat fee. It's zero right now. We have solid waste. We see fire, right? So these are the non-ad valorem taxes to the property. And we talked about last week, these taxes are actually paid in advance. The fiscal year on these taxes is,
I'm gonna do that. The three, the standard one.
The fiscal year on these taxes are October 1st of the current year to September 31st of the next year. Now, we know that when we go to closing, that's how these taxes are going to be broken out. But for the purposes of your closing cost calculator, we only have one line item. So this is an estimate to close this one out. This is the one I was working on with you guys. This is my dummy one. We're going to just go ahead and just put one amount. This is an estimate. We're going to go ahead and just put one amount. And that doesn't hurt, because look at the difference here between these two taxes. I mean, $21,000 is still a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, $21,000 versus $226,000 is not going to be so much that it's going to skew the cost to the seller. What do I mean by that? Reiterating, $21,000 rounded up to 22. That when we get to closing is going to be, the proration is going to be a credit to the seller, a charge to the buyer, right? Non-ad valorem is going to be a charge to the seller, credit to the buyer, because that tax is paid at the end. For the purposes of our closing cost calculator, we're just going to combine them. We're just going to take this grand total amount. We're going to drop that in, and then we're just going to prorate it. again, it's going to cause it to be a bit more of a charge to the seller, but we always want, for me, you guys are better overestimating than estimating, right? So let's go just take this number here, let's copy, and drop this into taxes. One other caveat, if you want to be very accurate, go and pull the taxes. I think it'll show you being very professional, knowing your craft. If you're doing it on the fly, do you need to put the taxes in there? No, but just know that your estimate is going to be off by the taxes, right? And the seller just kind of needs to know that. Other seller expenses and credit. What are some other expenses that they have? Maybe I'll say, for example, they know they have a code violation, and they know that code violation has a balance of $2,300. All right. Water bills. Yeah, you do water bills. That's a good one. Dominica, that's a water bill. Okay. Especially for a commercial building. Let's say water bill. Let's say water bill. Let's say they know their water bill is always, um, let's say 1,500. Let's just say 1,500. Again, we know this is a large structure. Let's say 1,500. Yeah. That might be excessive. I don't know. But that's an expense. What if there was a credit? What type of credit could we have? Let's say we know that they overpaid the association. On one of the trainings, I showed you guys that a seller had like a $3,500 credit with the association. So let's just put it. Why not? It's 3,500. Actually, you know what? Let me let y'all see it without it first. And let's calculate. Dun, 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 dun. This seller is going to net $374,909.37 at a sales price of $15 million. Yes, very good question. Watermere said, can we add special assessments and other expenses? Yes, that you know about. Absolutely. Absolutely. So settlement fee, this is an estimate. I can tell you guys this number is going to be higher than that just because it's on a range and this is a 15 million, but just $695 for that. Owner's title insurance. Remember, if you were in class last week, the reason owner's title insurance policy is on this side is because we did seller select title agent. What is it, 9C2, 9C3? Not 9C3, that's Miami-Dade Broward. All right, 9C1. So the seller is paying for the owner's policy. Title search, $100. Lien search, $250. Now these are estimates. We know that the title search and the lien search, they are pass-throughs. They're going to be exactly what the vendor charges for those searches. So a lien search could be $250. It could be a little bit more, right? Doc stamps on the deed. We talked about this last week. Seller pays that $105,000 based on a $15 million purchase price. $105,000. Let's admit some folks. $105,000 is what the taxes that the seller's going to pay on the deed. We're going ahead and we're deducting that first payoff of $13 million. Remember, we said we did a second loan payoff of $250,000. Sellers, your agent, the listing agent commission, $450,000. Buyer's agent commission, $450,000. The transaction fee, $495. We did taxes. Here are our tax prorations. It's going to be $180,775.63 credit from the seller because remember, it took the total amount and it did a proration. It prorated from January 1st, our date of closing, we said was September 27th, I believe we had, right? And so it prorated it. And it's charging the seller $180,000, essentially $181,000, right? Because that's what's going to be their portion of that tax bill by the time they close. HOA dues, $50. There is a proration. I forget what number we used. I think we did 50. I think we did 350, right? Seller concession, 150, 150,000. And here's that water bill. All right. Now, what if seller said, ugh, do we have to, um, what about this compensation? What if they said, what if we only offered 2.5% to the buyer's agent? We go in, we edit 2.5% buyer's agent compensation, and we calculate. Let's see what that does to their net proceeds. Took them up $449,909.37. They said that number looks better. They said, well, what about the concession? Like, do we have to do $150,000 like that? I mean, interest rates are kind of going down now, right? Like, do we really need to do that? They said, can we take that off? Let's take that off and see. Let's take that off. Or as a matter of fact, here's what we can do. Okay, Jocelyn, I know what my number will potentially look like with that concession. Let's keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and take that off for now. So I know what it will be in case we have to offer the 1% seller concession. What is it without the 1% seller concession? 599,909.37. Right? So you see how you guys can just work the numbers. Now this is at the listing. This is at the listing presentation or the listing consultation. What about we're already under contract or we have an offer? And whether the offer comes back, oh, Nestor, let's drop the link again in the chat. Maybe we have some folks that came in late. We're going to drop the link in the chat to the handout where you can have instructions on how to access it and how to use it. So we've got an offer now, Nestor. We got an offer. We got an offer of 15 million. And we have buyer's agent. They want that 3%. They didn't ask for a seller concession just yet. Or maybe they did. Let's say they asked for, since we have a calculator, let's do it, right? So they're asking for compensation of 3%. Let's go back here. Now they're back at 3. This agent wants 3%. And they're asking for a seller credit flat fee. Remember, concession is the same as credit, right? So they're asking for a credit of 50,000. Closing cost credit of 50,000. Maybe they said, you know, the roof, we want a new roof, or we want to service the AC. So you say, okay, let's see what that looks like. That now the seller's netting 474,909.37. So now you see how you can use this tool when you are working through offers, right? So you can use this tool to market, use this tool at your listing presentations when you're deciding on what that price is going to be, right? What the list price is going to be. And then you want to use it for sure when you get an offer. When you get these offers, guys, immediately come back here and utilize this calculator. Now we have you have multiple offers, right? So let's use the same one. 560 Village Boulevard. We're doing seller only. Loan payoffs. Let's go back. I'm trying to remember these numbers. 13 million. I should have emailed it to myself. I should have showed you guys. And that's 500,000. Offers received from the buyer. Let's see. Buyer 1. Offer amount. Let's keep the same offer. 15 million. They want, let's go back. We said 3% comp to both agents. Transaction fee, $495. Typing. Okay, typing. 495. Seller concession. This one wants 50 grand. Property taxes. What's our number? 248. Let's add another offer. This one is buyer 2. They are saying 14,595. Loan type, let's say they say cash. Real estate compensation, 3%. They also are requesting 3% comp. Let's not forget your transaction fee. Seller concession. Let's say, let's take them up. Let's say they say 75. They think the roof and the parking lot needs work. Right? Let's put these taxes back in here. Let's just compare these two. We can do another one, but oh, do we put we have the payoff up there? Let's just do another one just for kicks. Buyer 3. Buyer 3 is Mr. Ridiculous. 13.5. Conventional. 3 and 3. Let's not forget your transaction fee. They're not asking for any seller concession. Property taxes, still the same. Let's calculate. All right. Net at close, buyer 1. Remember, their offer was 15 million. We did a 13.5 payoff. Look, we forgot to put in our 200,000. Let's edit it. Because remember we said, let's go ahead. Let's stay true to our initial. Oh, we did it. We did 13 and 5. It was there. Perfect. We just didn't break it out. So let's go back. Offer amount, 15 million, 13.5 payoff, real estate compensation, 900,000, seller concession, title costs, recording, HOA proration. They're gonna net 226, 359, 37 with this offer. At 14,595, we're in the negative. Why we're in the negative? We got all this up and we came 75,000, right? And then of course this one, oh, this one's off. Hold on a second. The third one got to be off. Hold on. We got way too much. What do we do on our third comp? 1 second. Let's go to 3. Offer 3. What do we do in our real estate comp? $13, 3, seller concession. Oh, open. Here. We lost our, did we do a seller? Oh, we didn't do a seller concession. And our property taxes. All right. So when you get multiple offers, run your numbers. Run your numbers. Right? This one is way off because we see the sales price is that's our payoffs already. What would it look like if the buyer? That's a good one. I don't know that we can. So we would have to run that one, Walmart. We would have to run that one in separately. I'm glad you asked that question. So Walmart asked, what would the third offer look like if the buyer chose the title company? So we can't do it in this one just because up here the calculator chose a standard. So let's do this. Here's what we can do. Let's go ahead and just take. If you guys are okay, we're gonna lose these first two. We're gonna just go ahead and take off the first two, or did we lose all of them now? Okay, there's the third. So now that becomes that one. Um, and we did buyer. He said buyer only. We kept everything else the same. Let's calculate. He's still off because so it's less, but now you see the owner's policy is gone. But they still have the doc stamps, they still have the taxes, they still have the compensation. I think our owner's policy was about what, $30,000, I think it was. So that's the only difference, right? So let's make it make sense. Let's do a reasonable one. Let's do this one. Let's do um I want to do an individual one, and I'm going to flip it back and forth because you guys always ask, well, why? What's the difference? Why would I choose? I'm glad you asked that question. Let's go through the different title insurance scenarios, and maybe I'll just do 100,000 so it's kind of easier to. And loan payoff, let's say the first loan payoff is 30,000. Use small numbers. Let's do the commission is 3%, 3%, transaction fee 495. No seller concession, no HOA dues today, property taxes. Let's keep it simple. Let's say property taxes are, let's do 365 so you guys can see that. All right. And do we take this payoff? Make sure that's still good. Seller concession, took that off. Took off HOA. All right. So let's start with 9C1 seller. What does that look like? Calculate. Seller's gonna net $60,919. The difference is the owner's policy is $575, title search is $100, lien search $250, $355, 6, 7, 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 925, $925, right? So let's change it to buyer. That 925 is going to pop over to the buyer side. And now the seller should net 925 more. Let's calculate. That's right, Lori. 61,844. You guys see policy's gone, title search and lien search is gone. Those three charges now are on the buyer side. Right? Now let's do a split. Let's do Miami-Dade Broward provision. Let's do 9C3, which is our split the baby. All right, split the baby. Owner's policy is on the buyer side, so you don't see it. Title search, lien search, seller side. 350 is with the seller. Now remember, the title search, lien search, that number stays the same generally. I mean, the only time the lien search goes up is particular counties or you put a rush fee on it. But the number that's going to change based on purchase price is the owner's policy. So again, the question is always asked, why? What makes a difference? Who chooses title? Now you guys see in real time that that is service and numbers, right? Service and cost, right? So you can use this closing cost calculator for that. All right. Now the last one we're gonna do, let's try a closing disclosure quote. We talked about the buyer. And then there's also, guys, here a buyer estimate, monthly affordability, and then rent versus buy. Now, you guys definitely want to use this calculator. We're not going to go over this too much today, but the rent versus buy calculator, if you have buyers that are saying, oh, we're just going to continue to rent, right? So you come in here and use this calculator and show them the difference. We go over this calculator when we do more of the financing training, but I just want to make sure before we forget that you can use this calculator for that as well. All right, but let's look at this closing disclosure calculator, and then we're going to answer some questions and get out of here. All right, so let's use the same property, 560 Village Boulevard. We're using financing. Our purchase price, we're going to keep that same $100,000, easy math. Let's say our loan amount, 96.5. We're going to say that we're using 9C1. We're doing seller. Endorsements, we talked about this last week, guys. So remember, 9 is for the survey, 8 is environmental, 4 is if the property is a condo, 5 is if it's a townhouse or a single family home in a HOA community. So we're gonna just go ahead and say, let's just say 5, because we know that's what they're purchasing. Are we manually adjusting any fees? What about this buyer needs to pay you compensation, right? So buyer agent commission. Let's say it's 2,500 flat fee. Calculate. All right, here we go. Settlement fee, title insurance, survey. Cost of survey has actually gone up, guys. We're gonna update this. We've gotten estimates of 450. Everything's going up, inflation. But look, guys, this is your paragraph 9. This is your paragraph 9. There's survey. Here's your commission. Now, see, this is important, guys, with this commission scenario. This is important because they need to see these numbers, right? This goes to if the buyer's saying, oh, but I like that house. And you're like, well, they're not paying commission. Seller said they're not paying commission, right? So total due at closing under this scenario is $4,843.95. Now, what if we have a property where we've identified a property where the seller is paying the comp? All right, so let's adjust this fee, taking out this 2,500. I hope y'all remember what their number was. I forgot. Just that quick, their cash to close. But let's see what it looks like now. It dropped significantly, of course. Now it's only $2,343.95. So when you're having a conversation about whether or not the buyer can pay comp, let's use this calculator. Now, of course, this does not include lender fees. This is just title fees. This doesn't include, their HOI, any points, all those different fees associated with the lending side, but at least they'll see what their title charges look like, right? Questions. What questions do we have? Any questions?
I have a question, Samson.
Go ahead, Justin.
I didn't raise mine. Can you do an example using like a loan estimate, like you just mentioned in terms of like if the person's getting a mortgage, the will be like the I guess the broker fees and everything.
Well, that you would need the lender's fees. You would need the broker's fees. I mean, you could try, but you need the broker's fees, right? So sales price, you
Okay.
need to know how much they're charging the lender's compensation, right? What are they charging? So remember, similar to how a realtor's compensation is in percentages, a loan officer's compensation is in percentages as well, right? Can be 2%, 2.5, 2.75. So for that reason, I wouldn't attempt to use this calculator for that, just because you need their fees.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can do that for you, or maybe they may have a calculator that you can use, but I wouldn't use the title closing cost calculator for that. As a matter of fact, I'll share with you guys in the community a calculator for that. I'll share our calculator on the lending side for that. But that's a good question.
Thank you.
What I do one with VA, it's not going to change the VA. So I'm glad you guys asked that question. So Lori's question is about VA. VA is going to change. It's not going to change title fees. It will change lender fees, right? Because we know that a VA buyer does not make a down payment on their loan amount, right? We know that even though they don't make a down payment like 3.5%, like FHA, even though they're not making a down payment, they're not paying mortgage insurance, right? So when you're looking at the loan type, you want to work more with the lender's calculator. When you're looking at closing costs and you're trying to do estimates for closing costs, you want to use the title agent's closing cost calculator. These are all very good questions. All right. You guys asked all very good questions, and I hope you're seeing, for those of you who are new to the business and those of you who are even experienced in the business, you're seeing how all these things, these different concepts and this information works together.
Hello, Ricole. May I
Yes.
ask you a question? Thank you so much. This is excellent. I'm sorry that I was late. By the way, could we have access to this online tool?
Yes, absolutely. So drop again, Minnie, in the chat, the link to the handout. The link to the handout is going to show you how to sign up for it. You just come to our site.
Okay.
Expert estimates, and I'm already logged in, so it's gonna take you there already, but you'll just sign up to create an account.
Excellent. Excellent. And another question is, could you please give this also class in Spanish?
Oh, I wish. One of my closers probably can, though. I'll get one of my closers.
Because my company is 80% of realtors are from Spanish.
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent.
No, that's cool. Nestor, do me a favor. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. Send me an email, and I will get Spanish closer to do the class for you guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I can only do a little bit. Listen, I was born and raised in Miami, so I can move around. But yes.
I'm going to share this PDF, with my Telegram group, and also with my broker. So then I will contact you.
Absolutely. Lori said maybe AI companion can translate. Yeah, definitely can translate. But I'll get my Spanish closer on. Charmaine says share the school link with them. So school, Many of you have the link. If not, you can access it. What is it? Join now. There you go. School. So school, for those of you who are new and have not been introduced for school, is our school. It's our hub where all of our prior trainings and all of our handouts are stored of prior trainings. Starting in September, we are going to start having daily office hours with Ray Cole. For those of you that are members of school, so that I get a lot of emails from you guys with questions about how to put your transactions together. So we'll have a yeah, I need to be you guys ask a lot of questions that will be helpful to your colleagues, right? And so in the school community each day, and we're finalizing that. I'm working with Minnie and the team to coordinate the best time for that so that we can come in, quick office hours, ask your questions so that you can do more business. That's really what it's all about. Do more business. I hope that you guys can see by these trainings that we do every week. There's a lot of information, right, that you want to have access to. And I want you to have access to it quickly. There's a concept that says that you can collapse decades into days. All the things that I teach you guys, this is from literally decades and billions of dollars in transactions that I just curate into quick trainings for you guys so that you can do business. And so that school community is where you want to be if you want to kind of just plug in and just get continuous access to the information. All right. All right. Maria, this is not for credit, ma'am. This is for valuable information. All right. What other questions do we have while Minnie, you can go ahead and stop the recording. What other